Welcome back, everybody, to the Oasis.
That wasn't our normal opening, is it? Yeah, everybody, welcome.
Okay,
The
fine.
Entertainment
You
Oasis.
want to go back to it?
The Entertainment Oasis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Oasis. Better?
The Entertainment Oasis.
That wasn't the same.
No? Yeah? Yeah? You like that? That's a new way to go from this. That's the way we're gonna do it from now on.
We're trying to change it up, guys. We're trying to, be spicy, if that makes any sense. But anyway, we are back with another topic.
What topic is this?
So, I thought we would talk about how time travel,
The T word.
double T, time travel. Time travel. 2 words, 2 T's. Kind of dirty. Here's why. Time travel can, I think, cheapen a plot, whether it be movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, all of it. Why? Well,
why is that, Nathurow?
Let me tell you why, clues, so you can get a clue.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it creates the one thing that I think is even dirtier than the double T in time travel.
Did you say a TT?
It starts with a P. Y'all guess what it is?
Pointlessness?
Close. Close.
Ah.
Paradox.
The P word.
Yes, it creates a paradox. Now, there's this whole, especially if it involves going to the past, because depending on who thinks of it is, if we went back to change it, then it would have already happened in the future, so why would we have the need to go back to the past to change it? That's like the most basic paradox.
I have to stop drinking this so I can better understand this conversation. I need my senses to be at a top level.
Perhaps you need to drink a little bit more to understand it. You might get a different perspective.
Actually, I like that idea better.
There you go. Cheers. So, I have to mention the one movie that I feel did a pretty decent job, at least in explaining it in its own premise, and that's Back to the Future. It's been a very long time since I've seen that movie, but I do remember them at least explaining it like in a chart, showing like the lines to the future or something, saying that how they have to do something else before they can change it. I'm not saying it's like it completely negates everything, but at least they did somewhat of a decent job. Unlike, I would say, the movie Endgame, which had a lot of plot holes because of the time travel thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Endgame was one of them, and then the movie The Arrival. I'm not sure if you've seen that one. That one, to me, was probably the worst offender, because that one claimed that
she was experiencing time all at once?
Yes, and it involved basically aliens to where their timeline was experienced in a circle instead of a linear fashion, which basically means their entire timeline was living out all at once. They attempted to, I guess, explain it by saying that you needed to learn a certain language in order to comprehend this way of living, and that if you do learn this language, then your life is going to be acted out in the same way. My biggest problem with that is it defeats the entire premise of the movie, because the movie revolved around that specific race of aliens coming to Earth to ask for help in their timeline.
Yeah. But then, to their point, they would already know what the help is because they experienced their life all at once.
Well, I was thinking, how the heck could you ask for help if everything is happening at once? How can you ask for help from a species that has a linear timeline? It just doesn't fucking make any sense. It's paradox. This is exactly why we're having this conversation. So, those are just a few examples. I'm not sure if you have.
Well, I have a different gripe with time travel.
Okay.
It's a different one from yours.
What's yours?
My gripe with time travel is how it undermines the stakes that were previously set. It undoes anything of consequence. It's a cheap out,
How so?
So let's take Endgame, for example. So in that movie, Gamora was already dead. She died.
Oh, so many people died.
Yeah, she died
Not just her.
in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was killed there, and so you knew, okay, well, that's it. She was killed through the stone. She can't come back. What do you know? Time travel. And now she's back in the fold. You know,
Yeah.
her old version is in the current timeline, and it's like, what the heck? X-Men, they seem to do that a lot. The whole time travel thing. If I'm not mistaken, which one was it? Of course, Days of Future Past.
Haven't seen that
same
one.
thing. You see them die, only for at the end of the movie for everything to be restored, and it's kind of like, come on, they were better off dead. Not better off dead. Okay, that came out wrong.
He's just a cynic.
They were just like, I felt the story had more weight to it. If they would have stayed dead, but the moment you undo that, it's kind of like, what in the world was all this for? What was it all about? And I think Age of Ultron in the comic book also does that, because everyone gets massacred, and guess who gets to go back in time? Wolverine. And he saves the day. At least I think it was Wolverine. If I remember it correctly, it was Wolverine. He goes back in time, and then timeline restored. And that is just my biggest gripe with time travel, is that they always cheapen, you know, the emotions that we feel along the ride, only just to like pull the rug from under us and be like, you really thought we were gonna kill them off? And I'd be pissed if that's how they bring Black Widow back into the fold. It's like using time travel.
Good point.
That is my gripe. The only time I enjoy time travel is in Rachel McAdams movies. She's been in 3 time traveling movies, romance movies: Midnight in Paris, which I fucking love, Time Traveler's Wife, and About Time. And
Haven't seen any of those movies.
yeah, because they're chick flicks. You probably don't watch it. I love chick flicks.
Okay.
And that has a pretty good, like, I like that type of time travel. So in About Time, the main character, like her love interest, if he's in a dark place, he can, you know, concentrate real hard, and he can jump to a point in time. He can't really, I think, how does that explain? He can't really, I guess, depending on how far back you go, you can't really mess with anything there. So it's essentially, you go back, and depending on how far back you go, you could just be like an observer. Can't really do much. Of course, there are certain instances where, like, let's say 10 minutes ago, right? I can travel back in time and then change that to something more my liking, and that's kind of like what he does to kind of like win her over. So that kind of time travel is cool because it doesn't cheapen the stakes. At the end of the day, it's just like a nice little plot device to add some spice to the movie. The same with the Time Traveler's Wife. Essentially all the same. And
the movie Time Travel was pretty good.
Time travel? Which one's that one?
Or not Time Travel, Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine?
No, not that one. But before I get into that, I do definitely agree with that. It can definitely come off as a cop-out, basically. I did like the movie Time Machine. The movie itself wasn't that great, but I did like the fact that he goes back in time to try to prevent his wife's death. However, he's successful in saving her in how she died in the original timeline, but she eventually dies immediately afterwards in some way. So in that movie, even though he was successful in figuring out how to go back to the past, that movie was basically saying she was destined to die. It's basically like a premise of there's already like a predetermined destiny for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if it's your time, it's your time. If you don't die one way, you're gonna die another way. Which I thought that was a different interesting take. It's like, you know, even if you did discover time travel successfully, you can't change anything. So much for cop out, because in that movie there was none. There was no coming back.
Do you remember that Jake Gyllenhaal movie where I guess he's going back in time, inhabiting this person's body, trying to stop a bomb from blowing up a train? So it's like a constant trial and error and trying to figure out, like, where's the bomb? How does this explode?
I have not seen that one.
I forget what the name of it is, but that one was pretty good. Like, it did have a sense of time travel. Granted, he's just kind of like Groundhog's Day, you know, reliving the same moments, trying to figure out what's different, and the only weird thing about that, and spoiler alert, and I guess it's kind of trippy though, because at the end, you know, in a movie like that, you expect him to like, yeah, he figures it out, everything's all set, but he stays in the guy's body. And then I think it was like a day or two later, I was like trying to fall asleep, and I was wondering like, whoa, what the hell happened to that other guy then? It was like he just hijacked the body. Where'd the other guy go? Like,
did he basically kill him then?
Did his existence just get wiped away because he decided to stay in that body to be with like the main squeeze of the movie?
Ooh.
Yeah, but poor guy, dude. Some guy just
pulling a Meet Joe Black.
Some guy just got booted off his body. It's like, nope, mine, and then
you never know what happened to that guy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty rough.
Pretty trippy, but that was a good instance of like time travel, like when I kind of enjoyed the time travel bit a bit.
Yeah. I do want to revisit what you said about the cop out, because it does seem like movies that do that, it's for the benefit of the main protagonists.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I bring that up is because Endgame did have at least a slight twist to that, because when they went back in time and they were like trying to, like, I guess, fix everything, there was a setback. Loki ended up grabbing the Tesseract during the time when he was getting arrested, and he eventually transported someplace else.
Cheapens the stakes. We saw Loki die in Endgame.
Yes.
And now and this is why I hate time travel. He's supposed to be dead.
Yes, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that he was a villain, though.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people liked him, he was more of an anti-hero, sort of, kind of. But I guess what I'm trying to get at, like, what if the premise was flipped? What if the villains were the ones doing this? You know, like, what if, like, at the end, the good guys and the protagonists win, and then all of a sudden the villains found a way to travel back in time to be successful in their evil plot? You know, like, I definitely get how a lot of the movies use it as a tool for the protagonists to win out and get their way. But in this sense, like, if Loki was maybe just not an anti-hero and he wasn't likable, maybe he was just a pure villain, you know, at least, like, he was able to escape. Like, there's, like, and during that time, he had just gotten arrested, which basically means he had just finished getting through with his plan of trying to, like, destroy New York or whatever. So that Loki was still pretty damn evil. He hadn't really reformed or been in prison for a while and started to rethink everything. Like, that Loki, to me, was still the really bad Loki that wanted to dominate Earth. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the Loki that escaped and is now running rogue in wherever the hell he is. You know, so I thought that was somewhat of an interesting little twist.
Yeah. That
might show up later, which I'm pretty interested to see how that would play out, especially because it seems like Thor is going to come out in the new Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to tie in that rogue Loki. So
I can't get behind that. Like, I get why people would be happy, but no, it just undermines, you know, the events of the first part of Infinity War.
Because a lot of people now see Loki as a good guy.
Regardless, like, he had a good arc, and I felt like it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, like when a TV show goes on for too long, and then eventually it just like. Yeah. It just loses its way and it's no longer what it used to be. It's just too much of it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to run Loki into the ground and everybody's going to be sick of him. If he would have stayed dead, at that point he would have died on a high note. People would have loved the character. But I guarantee you, especially now that he's going to have his own show, they're going to ruin that character. They're going to run him to the ground.
But why Loki specifically?
It's anyone. I would hate it if the Black Widow movie isn't a prequel and it actually takes place after the events of, like, I hate when characters come back from the dead using time travel. It's like, you just, if you didn't want to kill him, then don't freaking kill him and then bring him back by some bullshit time travel nonsense.
Yeah.
Flashpoint too, like in DC Comics with Flashpoint, he goes back, he does it. Well, granted, that was a bit different. I kind of enjoyed it, but, you know, he sets up this whole new world. People are dying, like everyone's not who we know them as, and then at the end of the movie, how does it happen? How is he gonna do it? He travels back in time. Oh, spoiler alert! I'm sorry, guys. Travels back in time, changes it, and it's like that never happened.
Yeah.
And another spoiler alert for Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Same fucking bullshit. You see all these characters die, and at the end of it, guess what happens? Guess what happens?
What?
Flash runs back in time and changes
No, he doesn't. Really?
Yeah. It's like...
It's almost like...
I like the character,
the
but...
comic used it as a cop-out.
They did. And that's why I freaking hate it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, we wrote ourselves into a corner. Is Flash still alive? Yeah. Send him back in time. Have him reset the timeline. I mean, I love the characters and I love the story, but the ending is just like... Come on.
Yeah.
You could have just said it like, oh, this is like an alternate universe, and just keep them dead, because they're not part of the Prime universe. But instead, you decided, let's send the Flash back in time like we always do.
Yeah.
Give me a paradox over a fucking rewrite any day.
How about both? Oh man, we should probably research if there is a movie or comic that
where you
that.
get both. It's like they rewrite the fucking events that they
and they don't even attempt to explain how it makes sense.
It's
It just did. It's something that you can't comprehend because you're not that alien creature. Like, man, fuck you.
I'm sorry, are you an
That's
alien
so
creature
cheap.
that can think in 9 dimensions?
Yeah, does your timeline run in a circle? I don't think so. So you can't understand my freaking movie.
You linears wouldn't understand it.
Exactly. They are discriminating against linears. But that plot was created by a linear, which makes it even worse. Fucking hypocrites.
And you'll run back in time.
All of them.
And change the outcome. Reset everything.
Exactly.
What do you guys think? Is there an aspect of time travel that you guys hate that maybe we didn't bring up? Or which time travel nonsense do you guys hate the most? Is it the rewriting, I guess the stakes that we saw happen, that we saw unfold, or the paradox? I mean, come on.
The basically the plot that tells you that this plot makes no sense because it just doesn't, and you have to live with it.
Let us know in the comments below which one annoys you the most.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was a nice rant. I feel like I needed to get this off my chest.
Me too. I'm tired of this time traveling bullshit.
Running back in time.
At least attempt to explain it like Back to the Future did. At least to do something like that, to where there is some type of consequence.
So what's the moral of the story? Time travel sucks.
Yeah.
Have a great night, guys. And come back to the Oasis.
I am so done with the Intimate Oasis. I'm so done with you.
Oh wait,
I'm so done with you.
Let me get that stretch. Come back. To the Oasis.
God, scrub. What a scrub.